Hello, so this is my first video reflection that I've done, so we'll see how it goes. But since I have like a checklist of things that I need to cover, I'm mostly going to be reading off of this because I wrote it down word for word, which was probably not the smartest, but here we go. So for the summary, so far I've mostly walked around the room learning names and getting to know students. And since it is an art class, the majority of the class is spent working on projects. The students are learning craftsmanship and printmaking at the moment. Some are also learning how to use watercolor. I've not personally directed anything yet, but I have assisted students in using the brayer, which is the roly thing that they use to make prints. I've taught them how to use it correctly and answered questions as they came up. I've been learning a great deal of behind-the-scenes work of teaching as well. Mostly prep work, not too much about grading yet, because grading is going to be complicated with art. You can't just grade based on ability. You have to grade based on the effort that someone put into doing things correctly and fixing their own work and stuff like that. So that will be in the days to come when they're actually finishing their projects. Right now they're kind of still at the starting point and getting closer to the middle of their project. So that will come, but not quite yet. I haven't gotten a whole lot of feedback other than my mentor teacher did tell me that she appreciates that I am engaging with students, and this is kind of how I learn names. I ask them, what's your name and something unique about you that I can remember you by. And that's been kind of getting them to trust me and getting them to feel comfortable asking me questions about their work, because they're learning more about me as well as me learning about them. As for observations and teaching practices, I've seen lots of stern looks and talks from my mentor teacher. She has mostly had a positive attitude, and the students seem to like her and respect her, but she also reminds them who's boss by giving them these stern looks if they're misbehaving and stuff like that. It's not difficult to be liked as an art teacher just because you're doing something fun with them, and it's easy to engage with them because it's not so perfect. You can walk around and like talk to them about their work and stuff like that. So you can tell they like her, and I really like that she can still demonstrate that she's not just a friend to them, but she's also their boss, essentially. And they seem to respect her. I've also witnessed that students learn best when they are engaged with the teacher. My special ed mentor teacher has been very engaged with her students and helping them learn by relating to them personally. She'll ask them questions about their day, about their weekend, and then have them write about that. Let's see. I have seen her assess students on a test, and it's interesting how she talks to them while assisting them on a test to also relate to them, get to know them, and they seem to know answers quicker if the teacher asks them a question that can relate to their life, in special ed specifically. Moving on to other observations. The art students have to read 10 minutes per week, so they read a current event about art specifically, and they have also been creating works of art to make a form of text. So that's kind of the text portion of art. And we always demonstrate how to use the materials first, and then they practice independently and ask for assistance if needed. This usually helps them in their creative process, so they get ideas from us on how to make what's in their minds into a real object or a real piece of art. And then they have not done any writing so far, so I will talk about their writing strategies when they do that, but it's just a lot of painting and printmaking and stuff like that so far. They have, in the special ed that I help with in the morning, they have done some writing, and they do mostly web diagrams, where they write about their main topic in the middle, and then they kind of draw webs as to what they, if they're talking about their weekend, then they have a bubble that talks about hanging out with friends, and then another bubble that talks about what they had for dinner, and another bubble that talks about what they did before they went to bed and whatnot. And that's kind of how they've been doing the writing process. I'm accomplishing a lot of bonds with those students particularly, but I also have just been getting to know all of the students, and they're getting really comfortable with me, asking me questions and stuff like that. As for the analysis, so this part's kind of fuzzy to me. I read over the analysis prompt questions, and I'm not sure if you're asking about a specific incident that I've witnessed, or if I'm supposed to get questions or get a story from my mentor teachers or not. But for this one, I'm gonna go with one that I personally witnessed. So there was one instance in which I asked a boy's name and something that I could remember him by, and he said that his dad is Hawaiian. His friends laughed, and it was evident that they did not believe him, or that they thought it was funny that his dad was from somewhere far away and not here. But I could tell it was the truth, and that he wasn't just being funny when he said his dad was Hawaiian. So I said, "That's so cool. I have always wanted to go visit Hawaii," in a way to kind of break the ice and make it sound like it wasn't a funny thing, it was a cool thing. It probably happened because the friends are all most likely people with ancestors from around this area, and were culturally naive about, immigration and specifically Hawaii. I find it interesting that they laughed about that one, because that's part of the U.S., but there were other students in there. There was another instance where when I asked somebody's name, they used a different person's name and then laughed about it. So, the person's name they used was African American, and they were joking about his name. So that was also another instance where it was quite interesting. And I'm finding it very evident that I need to break these cultural barriers with the students in relation to me. I will also try to break those cultural barriers with the students going with each other. But I can't really do that until I make sure that they can trust me not to laugh at them and to take them seriously, and to understand that people are not all the same, and that is a great thing. Cultural differences are an awesome thing, especially in art, because you get to understand new ways of doing art and stuff like that. So, but anyway, that was one of the instances that I've witnessed. But if next time I need to find one that the school has done, then I will do that instead. So now about my own health. I feel as though I'm 4 hours behind in my own life. Like, just living 4 hours behind real time is what I feel like. It's been very stressful and difficult, um, but I think it's worth it because this is only temporary. This part in my life where I'm balancing full-time school and one particular class is extra full-time. Like, that just seems to be a lot. And then also balancing a job and trying to provide for my animals. I have 2 animals, a dog and a cat, and I provide for them mostly myself. So it's been really difficult that way. And to be able to take my dog out 3 times a day and stuff like that, clean the litter box, like, it's been hard to find time to fit all that in on top of all of my homework and stuff like that. So, despite all of that, though, I know that, like I said, this is only temporary because when I have a job in art, whether I'm part-time or full-time, I will be at school for the school hours and maybe doing a couple extra hours on the side, but mostly I will also be at home for those other hours and being able to be at home with my animals, even if I'm doing schoolwork at home. So that will be nice. But yeah, so that's kind of a crazy thing. And the pay will obviously be better than my minimal job that I have right now. So I'll be able to provide then. Anyway, I'm getting off track. There's one big thing that I have progressed in, and that is the school lunch. Praise Jesus that it exists, because a guest school lunch at my school that I'm doing my field experience at, you can get a full lunch, meaning an entree, 2 vegetables, 2 fruits, and a milk for less than $4. Praise Jesus. Like, I can't stress it enough. It's been my lifesaver. And so that means I only have to prep for my outfits on Sunday nights rather than my meals as well. And it just got to be overwhelming. And I just found that out this last time I was there. So that's pretty crazy. I've been stressing myself way too much with meal planning. But we got it all figured out. And finally, the last thing I've been doing for myself to help with my mental health and take away the stress is on Friday nights. Most of my friends are out partying. I am in my pajamas, cuddling with my 2 4-legged creatures, watching Netflix. And I'd use a 4-hour chunk, so it's been amazing. Anyway, I don't want to bore you any longer. Sorry it took so long. This is my first one. Can't wait to see you Thursday. Bye-bye.